What if everything you learned about the origins of civilization was wrong? You've probably heard the story. Humans were wandering hunter-gatherers. Then they discovered farming. Farming gave them food security, free time, and eventually cities, writing, science, the whole modern world. It sounds clean. It sounds logical. There's just one problem. There is almost no evidence for it. And the more scientists dig, literally, the more the whole story falls apart. Here is what we actually know about life before farming. Hunter-gatherers worked maybe 1 hour a day to feed themselves. Food was everywhere: meat, fruit, nuts, vegetables. Their bones show they were taller and healthier than the people who came after them. Then farming arrived, and suddenly people were working 6 or 7 hours a day just to survive. Their skeletons got shorter, their diets shrank down to mostly grain. They started living packed together in dirty conditions next to animals, which meant disease spread fast and people died young. So here is a real question. Why would any sane person make that trade? A famous historian named Yuval Noah Harari put it this way: "We didn't domesticate wheat. Wheat domesticated us. We thought we were putting wheat to work, but wheat just got humans to do all of its work instead." From wheat's point of view, it won. From ours, not so much. So why did we do it? Honestly, we do not know for certain, but researchers from 4 different fields have been piecing together some pretty compelling theories. The first is that a powerful elite forced everyone else to farm. Think of it like a guerrilla troop, where one big male controls all the resources. The problem is, humans are too clever for that. We cooperate, we make plans, we fight back, or we just leave. Coercion doesn't hold up as an explanation. The second theory is war. The idea is that farming communities could build walls and defend themselves better than wandering groups. Chimpanzees are extremely violent, and since they share a lot of our DNA, maybe we are too. But bonobos are even closer to us genetically, and they're peaceful. And when archaeologists look at early human sites, they don't find the kind of weapons or mass casualties you'd expect from organized warfare, so war doesn't hold up either. The third theory is care for elders. Farming lets you stay put and look after older people who can't keep moving. It's a sweet idea, but the evidence suggests early humans didn't actually fear death the same way we do. They believed in cycles of rebirth. Old age wasn't a crisis to be solved. That leaves the fourth theory, and this is the one most scholars today find most convincing: religion. The first is Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, built around 9500 BCE, over 11,000 years ago. It was only discovered in recent decades. What they found was a massive, carefully designed religious temple, carved with enormous stone pillars covered in animal images. The animals are shown in motion, hunting, leaping. Here is what makes Göbekli Tepe so significant. The religious site came first. The houses came later. Hunter-gatherers were gathering here for religious festivals before anyone decided to settle down. The second site is Jericho, connected to a culture that appeared around 13,000 to 15,000 years ago. These people were sedentary hunter-gatherers, meaning they stayed in one place but still hadn't switched to farming. They would preserve the skulls of their dead, cover them in clay, and keep them in their homes to stay connected with those who had passed. Jericho's famous tower, which early researchers assumed was a military fortification, turned out to be something else entirely. On the longest day of the year, the mountain behind it casts a shadow over the tower, and the tower casts a shadow over the entire village. This was designed on purpose. For these people, darkness was a way of connecting their village to the cosmos. It was a religious spectacle. The third site is Cataloyuk in Turkey, dating to around 7500 BCE. It was enormous, up to 8,000 people living together. There was no central temple, no palace, no government building. Every single house was its own place of worship. Religion wasn't something you went to once a year. It was woven into every moment of daily life. The people at Cataloyuk worshipped a mother goddess, represented by birds, particularly vultures. When someone died, their body was placed outside for the vultures, which was seen as a sacred offering. Then the bones were buried beneath the floor of the family home, and the skull was kept in the living room. The bull represented male energy. The mother goddess represented female creative power. People didn't transition to farming because it was practical. They did it because they were already settled for religious reasons, and once you've settled in one place long enough, you use up the wild food around you. You have to grow your own. Farming wasn't a brilliant invention that launched civilization. It was a slow, reluctant adaptation that came from something much older and much more human. The need to understand why we're here. The need to connect with something bigger than ourselves. The need to gather together and mark the important moments of life. Religion built the first cities. That's the real origin story. And next time we're going to go even further back to cave paintings made 40,000 years ago that show this same spiritual impulse reaching all the way into the deep